Recording now. Excellent. Welcome once again, everyone. And like I said, today's business or the business of this particular training is to get you up to speed, is to make sure whether you're just coming into project management, whether you've been in project management, whether you're reconsidering coming into project management as well. This is a place for you to be. And in this particular training, the beauty of this particular training, like I said when I was doing introduction last week, is the beauty of it is you're not confined to just being a project manager. This is a training that is quite broad. If after this training, you can say, you know, I want to be a PMO analyst, I want to be a planner, I want to be a project manager, and all of that. But based on, and as we proceed in this particular training, you will see some of the things I will be talking about, because from what I've seen so far, a lot of us are just coming into these. And I am not that kind of a person that likes throwing people into the deep ocean just because I want you to get a job and I want you to have a title behind your name as a project manager. But definitely, you will definitely be hearing a lot of advices from my end as we proceed to say, you know what, I will appreciate if you don't go for this, if you go for that, if you go for this, based on my analysis and my interaction with you in class. And it's not that I don't have faith or believe in us when I say some of those things. No, I do, and I will be using my own journey as an example for some of these. And I think I spoke to a couple of you, telling you how my journey was, how I didn't jump into being a project manager straight, how I had to be a planner, from planner I had to be a PMO support, be a PMO lead, then worked as a project manager at some point and all that. Within the rope, and not just going into project manager role first. But like I say, it's gonna come from the interaction we'll be having, and that is it. So please, when I tell you a few things, don't think I don't believe in you. I do, but it's just for me to help you to channel what you have and what you know, and also your strength at that point in time into what I think is sustainable for you at that point in time. And like I tell people, and I was still advising one of my mentees tonight who has he told me that, oh, he spent 6 months already from the job he picked up. He picked up the PM role with a charity organization. We started with that charity organization. Even though the training, you can go on and work as a project manager with big organizations, but he started off as a charity organization so we can have a good foundation for him. And he just sent me a text message this morning to say, okay, I'd love to speak to you this anytime you're free, because it's 6 months already. And in my mind, I'm like, you just started a job a month ago. He said, no, it's 6 months already. And that's what I give people. Get into that. After 6 months, let's come back. Let's do a review. You need to go big. Okay. So that's why I tell people after 6 months, let's come back and review your CV, because I know that the 6 month experience you've had on the job, or you're having on the job, is enough for us to go big and start review your CV again, and let's launch out to those big salaries and all that. And so that's exactly how I will be working with most of you, or if not all of you, at in the course of this particular training. So today's business is for us to understand what exactly is a project, what exactly is project management. And while we're talking about what is project management, we'll be looking at the two key frameworks, which is a PMI framework and the Princeton methodology. And like I could see that, you know what, 90% of the people that are here, they are in Europe, or 99%, except for Emmanuel, that is not in UK at the moment. So I will definitely be talking more about the Princeton methodology. If I had a mixture of people from Canada, America, Australia, UK, and Nigeria in the class, then I would have mixed it up a lot with PMI as well as the Princeton. But since I've got 99% of everyone, of the people online from the UK, I will restrict myself in speaking a lot about the Princeton methodology and all that. Then we'll talk about the relevance of the project management training and the guidance to you, and how lucrative project management is. And when I'm talking now, you will definitely be doing that. And also, even though I said this training is not for project management certification, but definitely I will still talk about the relevance of certification and experience. And while we're here, let me say this: I don't sign off CVs, and I don't sign off people's CVs, and I don't work on people's CVs until I see Prince2 Foundation on people's CV. The moment I say Prince2 Foundation on your CV, then I know you're ready to launch out your CV. And the reason why I'm saying this is because most organizations, if not all organizations that are recruiting for a project management role, wants to make sure that you've got that little foundation of project management. They don't. They know that you are the one that have got to understand that you went through a 2.5 or 3 month training with IO, and IO taught you all of that. You're good to go. You know all of that, but they don't know that. What they know is there is a body called the APNG that administers the basics of project management, and they want to see that on your CV. So I always tell people, in the course of this particular training, before we even finish this training, you should be able to have done your Prince2 Foundation. Is the least you can think about is just understanding the terms, use of terminologies and all that. That's what Prince2 Foundation is all about. Use of terminologies and the likes, and having proper understanding of what project management is using a methodology. So I always tell people that, you know what, I really need you to do that. Go online, register for that. There are e-materials, electronic materials, e-learnings, and all that. And you can always write the exam from the comfort of your house by using Proctor to do that. And I think it's 70 questions, and you must pass. You must get 45 out of the 70 for you to have your Prince2 Foundation. And if you want to go bigger than that, you can do your practitioner with it. Then it gives you upper edge for you within on your CV if you can go further to do your practitioner on that. Okay. So let's get into that. Let's get into that. First and foremost, I'll just do a brief, like I said, because I don't have a lot of people from the US, from Canada, or Nigeria on or online today. So I'll just do a very, very quick summary of PMI or PMBOK methodology. But when I get into Prince2, we will definitely get a proper understanding. And I think that's what we'll use the whole of next week to talk about. We'll talk about Prince2 for the whole of next week, talking about what are the principles, what are the people, what does it mean to say principles, what does it mean to say the people, what does it mean to say the process as well within the Prince2 methodology. All right. So when we talk about PMI, PMI means Project Management Institute. And Project Management Institute is the oldest body when it comes to project management in the world. Okay. And it's situated in US, Pennsylvania, in the US, and they administer various exams. They administer an exam called CAPM, Certified Associate in Project Management, which is called the CAPM. They administer PMP as well, Project Management Professional, and they do other courses like Schedule Professional, Program Management Professional. They do Portfolio Management Professional as well. They do Risk Management Professional. They do Agile Certified Professional. They do PBA, Professional in Business Analysis as well. So they've got various exams that they do, but their core is actually the project management. And that is why they created a framework that is called the PMBOK. It's called the Project Management Body of Knowledge. That's the definition of PMBOK. PMBOK is called the Project Management Body of Knowledge. Within a project management, this is what we call the Project Management Bible. Okay, the Bible, and they at the moment, I think they are on the seventh edition. Give me 1 minute. I think they're on Pinboard. Okay, yep. They are on the 7th edition at the moment. Yes, they are on 7th edition at the moment. It's called the Guide to Project Management Body of Knowledge. They're on the 7th edition at the moment. The 7th edition came out 2 years ago. So if you can go online, you can download, you should be able to download a copy if you're a member of PMI. And if you're not a member of PMI, I think I've got a copy I can share with us also on Telegram, on the Telegram page. I will see that. I should have an electronic copy I can share. I've got the got the hard copy here. I can share with us on that. So I've got two things to share with you now. So someone should remind me. I've got the PMBOK to share. Then I've got the Brilliant Project Manager to share as well. Okay. So so we've got that, and that's called the PMBOK guide, the project management body of knowledge. This is what we call the Bible of project management, because inside this particular body of knowledge, you have everything you need to know about project management. It was Emmanuel that was talking about project financing, project forecasting, project scheduling, and all of that. When you open the PMBOK, these are everything. These are some of the things you will see in the PMBOK. PMBOK is that particular book that talks about how stakeholders should be managed, how risk should be managed on a project, how procurement should be managed on a project, how human resources should be managed on a project, how your planning should be done, how cost should be done, whether you want to cost estimate, you want to forecast, or you want to budget for costing on the project, how all of that should be done. It's also where we talk about, stakeholders management. How do you manage your stakeholders? What do you need to do? Identify them, analyze them, and all of that. When it comes to communication as well, how do you communicate? Who do you communicate to? Who needs what? Who doesn't need what? All of these are what you will see in the PMBOK guide, okay? And that is what PMI established a long time ago. I think they did 50 years of establishment, sometimes 4 years ago. They should be 54-year-old now, administering this certification. When it comes to PMP, CAPM, PGMP, PFMP, and all of that. So these particular BIMPO established guidelines for project management. It's got the processes in there. It explains the tools you need to use, the tools and techniques you need to use. Talking about, you want to go and identify, you want to gather information. You want to gather information from people. What are the tools you need to use? Interviews. It will tell you that, the best approach we think is interview. Don't forget that it is not streamlined to say this is what you need to use. They are just suggestions on how they believe that using subject matter expert or expert judgment from people we've spoken to, from people that have managed mega project or little project and all of that, they believe that these are the tools and techniques you should go about if you want to succeed on this particular project. And that is what the PMBOK guide is all about. Okay, so recently, like I said, the PMBOK guide, the project management body of knowledge guide, has evolved over time. They are on the seventh edition in 50 years. So it has evolved over time and things are changing. And prior to this time, and if you notice what I have there, I said establishes guidelines for project management processes, tools, and techniques. If you look at my last statement there, okay, my last statement there says processes, tools, and techniques. But recently in the last two editions, PMI, Project Management Institute, had to sit down within themselves and have a proper understanding that, project management should not be restricted to processes, tools, and techniques only. Delivering successful projects should actually be centered around the people, the environment, and the process. Okay, the people, the environment, and the process. And that is why this particular process or this particular guide has now been reviewed to focus on these three things now. Okay, it is now focusing on the people, focusing on the process, and also focusing on the business environment that you're operating in. Okay, when we say focus on people, it's saying that, if you want to be a successful project manager or you want to have a successful project, you need to be able to know how to manage conflict. Okay, you need to be able to lead a team properly, leading a team properly. Let me quickly say this while I'm on that second point is, as a project manager, I know that when some of you spoke, some of you said, oh, yes, I want to get into IT. I want to get into IT project management. I want to get into IT and all that. Can I quickly bust your bubble a bit to say, as a project management person, you are not expected to be technically inclined. on whatever you're doing. Okay, your job is to manage the people. Your job is to manage the process. Your job is to ensure that the business environment is supported as a project manager. So you can see that in everything I'm talking about here, I've never said anything like you must be able to code, you must be able to test, you must be able to you must be a DevOps. I didn't say you must be able to design another. No, as a project manager, your job is to make sure that you're leading the people, you're managing the people, you're collaborating with people, you're managing the stakeholders as they should be managed, and also at the same time, you're making sure that the processes that the people you're managing will use are well documented, are well managed, are well established, and they understand how this is working. And also you're making sure that you're managing compliance within the organization or within the business environment. You're evaluating what changes could happen, and you're supporting the organizational change within the industry you are. Okay, so you can see that as a project manager, your job is there, as the word is project manager or project management. Your job is management. Your job is not to code. But in recent times, I'm sure someone is saying, "Boy, Mole, I saw a job spec that said you must be able to do SQL. You must be able to do this as a project manager." Yes, in recent times, we've had organizations trying to kill two birds with one stone. Okay, we've had organizations trying to say, you know what, as a project manager, you should be able to do this, you should be able to do that. And I understand where they are coming from. They are coming from a point where they want a project manager to be able to probe whatever the people are doing. And you will agree with me that it makes a lot of sense for a project manager to be able to probe so that he also will be very successful. Like I said, I was speaking to the guy I was speaking to this afternoon told me that, you know what, yeah, what he's been working on a charity project was trying to explain the charity project that they are trying to develop the kind of learning for the underage, that the underage this and all of that. And he said, well, he really want to see how to get into change transformation project, IT transformation project, or finance transformation project. And while he was speaking, he said, you know what, there is a particular learning tool, and from that learning tool, they are trying to develop another learning tool that can accommodate people and all of that. And he kept on saying, I said, do you know that whatever you say you're doing in there is the same thing we are doing when we do finance transformation project, or we do a change transformation project, or an IT transformation project, only that all of those three I spoke about, they are in large scale, but yours is in a smaller scale. But the project manager that is delivering this particular training, allow me as an example, being the project manager, or Juliet being the project manager for this particular PM and ADM, as you know what, she has drawn out a plan. She's walking through the plan. She's making sure that everybody on this particular platform are happy. She's making sure that the recording is being done. She's making sure that things are getting coordinated. She's making sure that we're keeping to time. We're delivering what we need to deliver on time as well. So you can see it's just dependent on the magnitude and how you are wording, on how you're doing the work that is set to be done. Like I said during the introduction, we are all project managers. It's now dependent on what methodology or how streamlined are you with what you're doing. So as a project manager, like I said, the people is very, very critical for you. Or as a project management person, the people is very, very critical. I give you a typical example in the project Hamon at the moment. The delivery manager, who is more like a senior person within the business or the client side, requested for something for the last 3 weeks on the project I'm working on. And the guy just came into the project, and the guy said, for us to have a weekly status team meeting today. What I requested for the last 4 meetings, is it done yet? Do we have a rollout dashboard for us to work on, for us to walk through and all of that? And I just told the guy, unfortunately, the rollout dashboard is not ready yet. And the guy just said, okay, the rollout dashboard is not ready. I don't think I can get anything out of this stuff, out of this meeting. So you all need to excuse me. And this is a platform that has got 35 people. And the guy just said, you will need to excuse me. So I'm out of this meeting now until I'm able to get what I'm asking for. You get, and you know what? The moment he left the call, I just said, that's all right. I just said, he's left the call now. I called his name. I said, he's left the call now. And we have the status report slides to go through. We have the status report slide to go through. So definitely we will go through this meeting. And after the call, I will speak to this particular guy and all of that for him to understand what the need is, for me to understand what exactly the need is and why does he think that that is what we need for this particular stuff. So you could see that I've got a very it was a conflict within the store because I wasn't the one that's supposed to handle that. There are few guys on the platform that should have developed that. You could see it was actually that talking to them indirectly. But for me, I had to manage the expectation of those guys very well, as well as mind the expectation of the guy that just left the meeting room. So I had to, at the end of the meeting, I had to make sure that the meeting went ahead as it should. We used the status report that everyone had prepared because it doesn't want to use what everybody agreed to use and all of that. And at the end of the day, I went to meet him and I said, hey, guy, what was that about? Don't forget, this guy is a senior guy from the business side. They are the ones that is giving me the job and all that. And I said, you know what? Everybody believes that this is what we should use. I understand where you're coming from because you need this particular dashboard to be able to present to the senior stakeholder and all of that. What if I set up a 30-minute call with you every week for both of us to go through the rollout dashboard before the meeting, before the status report meeting, and with that, you have a proper understanding of whatever they are saying in that particular meeting at that time, at that point in time. And the guy said, yes, let's try that IO. And if that works and all that, you could see all I have done so far is to manage a conflict that could have turned to something else, that could have gotten grown-up people, not wanting to talk to one another. But you could see I had to make sure that that particular situation is well managed. And also you need to lead a team. And I'm not even a project manager on that particular meeting. I'm a PMO lead at the moment on that particular project. But I manage the process. I manage the process and also the business environment. The program manager is the one that is managing the people at that point in time, but he wasn't around. So I had to step in and make sure that all of that is set. So that's exactly what PMR or PMBOK book is on at the moment. So what is the relationship between project management and program management? Can we use PMI framework? Yes, you can. And as we proceed, Rachel, I will definitely be mentioning program management. So let's pack program management at the moment. Let's just focus more on project management for now. But as I speak, and like I just spoke now, I said, I'm not a program manager. That you could see that I just slot in program management into that now because program management is broader than project management. Yes, you can use a PMI framework, but the PMI framework doesn't talk about benefit realization, which program management is more concerned about benefit realization as well. So while we're managing several projects, because don't forget, program is several related projects. So definitely you go use PMI framework or the PMBOK to manage a project under different programs. But at the end of the day, you still need to be able to do benefit realization at the top of it to say, okay, that project we just deliver, what is the benefit for that? That project A, what's the benefit of that project A delivering to the organization? That project B, what's the benefit that project B is delivering to the organization? Project C, what benefit is it delivering to the organization? So that's what program is all about. Program is more concerned about managing the project to deliver the project while we are managing the benefit that all of those projects are generating to the organization or to the environment or to one another. Okay. So, and also we consider processes as well. It talks about processes, managing the budget, just like Emmanuel Joseph said earlier on in project budgeting. How do we do that? So the process in managing the project budget, whether we are estimating, we're doing forecasting, we're doing parametric estimation, we're doing analogous estimation, we're doing 3-point estimation, we're doing bottom-up estimation and all that. Those are the processes that PMBOK has got. and they're advising that, you know what, you need to make sure that you look at those, you look at those processes, and also managing your schedule. And let me quickly say this, Emmanuel, this is because, you know, the what you're asking for is because you're in Nigeria at the moment, and I'll quickly share my testimony. But when you come to this side, a project manager is not actually expected to get into the nitty-gritty of project costing or project budgeting. And I'll give you a funny scenario. Okay. Just like yourself, I was a project manager back in Nigeria before I moved to UK. And I could remember when I submitted my CV to a recruiter, and the recruiter looked at my CV, and the recruiter said, "Oh, Ayo, are you the same? You're the same person who is a risk manager. You're the same person who is a project manager. You're the same person who is a cost manager. You're the same person who is a PMO. You're the same person." He said, "Okay, who exactly were you reporting to? Who was reporting to you?" Because back in Nigeria, you are all in all of these roles all of the things I just listed now, they are roles that are not project manager's role, that they are role of the people that are supporting the project manager should be doing, that they should be reporting to the project manager. And the guy said, "No, it's not going to fly. We don't do that here." And all that. I was an angel sent to me. And the guy just said, "You know what, streamline." And I think it was Rachel I was sharing this with as well. And he just said, "You know what, you need to streamline your CV and all of that." When he said I need to streamline your CV, I just need to look at myself. Oh, it's one about a boy just coming into UK and all that. How do I think I can be a project manager? Don't forget, I was a project manager back in Nigeria for like four years already. 4 years already, or 5 years already in Nigeria before I moved in here and all that. And I'm like, you know what, the best I could do, because as a project manager, just coming into this country, you need proper stakeholders management. You need proper communication, because don't forget, like we said, you're managing conflict. You can imagine what I said happened on Monday on that my particular project, and I'm just a newbie. I know that I'll just melt. I'll just melt on my seats if it was physical. And thank God it was on Teams. But when I got to this country, it wasn't. We're not allowed to work from home. You have to go physically into the office. Just imagine that happening and all that with someone who has been on the project for 7 years, and I'm just coming in, and that happened to me. I will melt out. You won't see me the following day coming back to the office, because that intimidation will be too. So I just told myself, okay, what can I do? I know how to use most of the project management tools very well: Primavera, MS Project, SharePoint, Jira, Confluence, and all of that. Knew how to use them very, very well. I just told myself, you know what, the best thing I could do for myself is for the next 6 months, let me hide myself behind the laptop. Let me be a project planner. Let me tailor my CV to be a project planner and hide myself behind the laptop, get all the plans, interface with 1, 2, 3 people, get all the plans, develop all the plans, do my presentation, and walk out of the hall and all that. And trust me, it worked for me. And that was exactly what I said earlier on. It really worked for me. And that was all I did for the first 13 months, basically. And I was gaining that confidence. I was gaining that strength. I was interfacing with people. I was talking to people and all of that here in the country just by using MS Project only. So for my first 13 years in this, first 13 months in this country, it was MS Project I knew how to use very, very well. And that was what I was using. And I was getting paid well, and that was how I was able to survive that. And that's why it was all I was doing was managing the schedule. That was my job, to manage the schedule. We had a lady on the project who was managing the budget. Our whole role was just project finance. It was PMO finance person. My role was PMO planner. Okay. We had someone else who was looking after the procurement. We had another person, a business case person, a finance, as we call them, the business finance partner and all that. We had that person who was looking at the business case, who was looking at the scope of what business case and all that. We had the PMO manager who was just, our whole focus was just a project governance. So you could see that but back in Nigeria, one person will be the one doing all of that, will be the one doing all of that role. Okay. So you said, what happened now if other organization doesn't incorporate all the rules you're mentioning? You will notice that in a lot of organizations, when they have a bigger project, except it's a smaller project, except if it's a smaller project and they believe that, you know what, this particular project manager can manage that, they will do it. The project I'm on at the moment also is a big project, is a very big project where we've got a program manager. And with the program manager, I've got a PMO person who is looking at the finances. I actually have another person who is looking at the resources, strictly how to bring people in, strictly what are the gaps we have, what are the how do we onboard, how do we offboard people. That's the strictly that person is working on that, while I'm the PMO lead who is working on the governance. I'm working on the governance, I'm working on the processes, I'm working on the senior management reporting systems, and all that. That's what I've come in to establish for them, looking at the overall program, the global program plan, and all that. Even though I still have a planner that is working for me, who is looking after the plan, but at the global level, I'm looking at the global plan, I'm looking at the governance, I'm looking at all of that. So it's all dependent on the organization and the magnitude of a project. When you work on bigger project, they will definitely see the need, especially in the UK. They will definitely see the need to be able to fragment most of these roles, except it's small organization, a very small project where they believe that, you know, I've worked. Okay, I've only worked in one organization where I myself and the program manager. I was a project manager on this. Myself and the program manager. It was just the both of us within the project management office. When it comes to project management, program manager, I'm the project manager. Every other person were technical guys. They were technical guys on the project. Because they were technical guys on the project, we had to make sure we manage the cost, we manage the risk, the issues, all of that. And while they focus more on the technicalities of the project. So on that particular project, yes, we were managing the budget. Yes, we were managing the risk, we were managing the resources as well on that particular project, just because of the magnitude of our project and also the kind of people we were working with. And also, like you said, Emmanuel, some organizations might not want to incorporate that particular organization. They were not ready to incorporate all of that. And it's just because of the magnitude of that project. But the moment the project is becoming bigger and you're having over 50 people on that particular project, no, I want to bring in someone to look at the costing, to look at the time sheeting, to look at the resource availability of that particular project. It's not going to be the headache of a project manager to look after that. Okay, so a lot of organizations understand this, and they will always incorporate this. Okay, they understand that, and they will always incorporate some of these things. Okay, so that's what we talk about processes. We for processes, establish project governance, and the thing is, as we proceed on this particular project, we will definitely be picking some of these things, but we won't be picking them on the Pinbox side. We'll pick them on the Prince2 side. Okay, I will need to streamline my slides to make sure I'm focusing more on the Prince2 side of things, since I know the audience I'm speaking with at the moment. And also the third thing that the Pinbox spoke about is the business environment. They say you have to manage compliance, you have to make sure you deliver project benefits. Don't forget, I said this earlier on when Rachel asked a question. We need to make sure that we're delivering the project benefit. What are the benefits we said this project would deliver? We're delivering. I know that when Emmanuel was speaking, Emmanuel was talking about the project finance, forecasting, project schedule, and those are the core, those are the constraints of a project that we talk about: the cost, the schedule, the scope. And recently they added human resources and risks to that, some of the constraints you are. So as a project manager, your job is to make sure that you're not going beyond the budget, you're not going over the budget, you're not going over the time, and also you're not scope creeping. That's your job as a project manager. So you're managing those things with the people you're working with to make sure that you're delivering the project benefit. And also there will be changes on the project. There'll be changes on the project. As a project management person, whether you're a PMO person, whether you're a project manager, you want to make sure that changes are well managed. And we will be talking about how you can develop a process. If you go into organization, developing a process, how do you manage the process? How do you use the process and all that along the line? And also you need to make sure you support the organizational change. Changes are bound to happen within an organization. So you want to make sure you do that. Okay, so still talking about the same thing. There's three things we spoke about here is what, so for some of you, because I know one or two people in here that are interested in doing PMP, So for the PMP exams or for some of the things you'll be thinking about, this is what the new structure of the PMBOK talks about as well. You have to keep the business in mind. Always keep the business in mind. Remember, we said the business environment. Always keep the business in mind. What exactly does the business want? What's the benefit of this work to the business? Why are we doing this? Always have that in mind. Creating a high-performing team. When you create a high-performing team, you're looking at the people. Keep the team on track. You're thinking about the people. Start the project. You're talking about the process. Doing the work. You're talking about the process of doing the work as well. So you can see that it incorporates everything we've been talking about: the people, the process, the business environment. And when we get into Prince 2, you will see the similarities with what Prince 2 is talking about. Prince 2 also talks about the people, the process, the principle, and also tailoring it to the environment you're working with. Then let's talk about Prince 2 for the next 30 minutes, and we'll call it, I'll release you early today, being the first day of our coming together. So I'll make sure I release you at 11 or before 11 o'clock. So Prince 2 is an acronym of Project in a Controlled Environment. That is the meaning of Prince 2, Project in a Controlled Environment. Prince 2, they've got a book. I think they've got a new book now that is titled the 2021 Prince 2 book. Is the latest one. The one before then was 2008 or 2007. So they've got the latest one. I don't have a copy with me. I think I should search for a copy of that book as well. And so it will be part of the things I will be sending to you before the next class. Hopefully, I will get a copy of that. I've got the hard copy, but I don't have the electronic. I don't have the electronic copy with me at the moment. So so that is Prince 2 for you. Prince 2 is well structured. The beautiful thing about Prince 2 is you can pick Prince 2 and use Prince 2 to manage your cooking. You can pick Prince 2 and use Prince 2 to manage the road construction you're doing. You can pick Prince 2 and use it to manage Olympics. Okay, so that is what is called tailored to suit project environment. So that is all about Prince 2. I'm waving over Prince 2 because that is what I will dwell with later on and get into the nitty-gritty of Prince 2. Okay, what makes a good project? What makes a good project? If you want to type on the screen, if you can type, what makes a good project? As a question for all of us, what makes a good project? Tell me. There goes, yes. Within budget, meets goals. A good project must have a clear objective and goals. Yes, stakeholders are well engaged. Thank you. Uh, it must have a start and end date. Correct. Clear objectives, meet objectives, delivers value, detailed planning. Excellent. All right. Let's look at what we've got here. What makes a good project? We can see these are the things. This is not everything that makes a good project. This is just examples of things that make a good project. We've got clear goals, and someone said clear goals already. It must be delivered on time. Someone said it's a start and finish time already. That it must be well managed, and that's why you need to have a project manager who is managing that, or you have a project lead, or you have a PMO lead, or someone that has got a project management understanding who is managing things. Engage stakeholders. I think someone also said it. Someone also wrote it there that you must be able to meet stakeholders' expectations. So you can see engaging the stakeholders. This is very, very critical. And when you go for job interviews, this is one of the things they will be asking you in your job interviews to say, you know what, you've got a team member. Who is that? How will you manage? Or you've got a senior management who is resistant to your project. How do you think you want to manage this person? How do you think you deal with this person and all that? This is all about stakeholders engagement or managing stakeholders. And that is what the job of a project manager is. Remember that when I showed you those three focus of PMBOK, they said people, manage conflict, team leading, and all of that. You need to make sure that stakeholders are well engaged and well managed. Okay. And okay, they don't use the word managed anymore. They now use the word engaged. Okay. So you might, even though I'm old school, so you might be hearing me saying managed, managed. They use engaged now. So I'll try my best to streamline to streamline myself to engaging stakeholders. So there's difference between managing and engaging. You can manage them without engaging them to say, you know what, let me just patch this guy, let me just manage it and let him go. Okay, that is managing. But when it comes to engagement, we've moved from managing to engaging, and so you must engage stakeholders. And that's why you could see engaging is what you will see a lot from my slides, but my mouth will still be talking about managing because I'm most as it is when it comes to project management. It must meet a need. Someone said meet the goals. Todimu said meet the goals. It must meet a need. Meet objectives. Kenyola said that. And also Nome said that you must meet objectives. Well planned. It must be well planned. That's detailed planning, Kenny said. And delivers value, benefits, relevant. A good project must be relevant. If it's not relevant, then there's no point doing it again. And Emmanuel said it must be on budget. It must be on budget. So these are just the things we will be talking about. And how do we make sure that all of these things we've spoken about is well managed as a person is what we are equipping you to become on this particular training. Equipping you to be able to manage project properly, equipping you to be able to engage stakeholders, to meet the needs of people or the needs of the organization or the needs of the project, to meet objectives, to train you how to plan your project properly. And we'll be doing that. We'll be working on MS Project as well. I will expect everyone to install MS Project on their laptops, and we'll be able to do that relevant on budget as well. I'll try and get someone to come teach us Excel for just 1 hour if I'm able to get the person to teach us how to do some of those things on there. Okay. All right. Then, what exactly is a project? Remember, we said our business for today is to define what a project is, a lot of that, what project management is, and we'll call it a day from there. All right, before we do this, let me take a pause and ask if there is any question from anybody. I didn't say this while we started. If you have any question or questions, please just type them in. As we proceed in the class, I will always read them and just pick them up and explain myself. So you don't have to wait till the end of the class before you ask your questions. Just type your questions or raise your hand if you need to. I love people interjecting. Okay, I love answering questions while I'm teaching and not wait till the end. So just raise your hand, I'll call you, or you type it. So I love questions, interjecting my training a lot. Okay, so let me pause here and ask us if we have any question at all from what I have said so far. I'm waiting. All right, thanks, Oname. Who else? Any question from anybody?
Not from me.
Okay. All right, good stuff. So let's go ahead then. A project is a temporary organization that is created for the purpose of one or more business product, and all that. And what we're saying is that there is another definition of of a project from the PMBOK, which I love that definition so much. And it says that says that a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to produce a unique product or service. Okay. Okay, so the initial definition I gave you guys was that a temporary organization that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case. So there's an agreed business case, and we've got that temporary organization. And also Emmanuel was one that said, you must have a start time and a finish time. So that's why we say call it temporary. It's a temporary setup. Okay. And that's why my second definition says a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to produce a unique product or service. And it's created for the purpose of delivering one or more business product. It's unique. It must be unique. Okay. So that is what project is all about. Project wants to bring about change. Project wants to bring about something different. Project wants to bring about something unique, okay? And that's why it is called a project. It is not an operation. It is a project. An operation is a day-to-day activity, a day-to-day work, a day-to-day activity, something you do that is repetitive is what we call operation. That is not a project, okay? But when it comes to a project, there must be a start time and a finish time to a project. And that's where we have all of these characteristics of a project, okay? Characteristics of a project is first and foremost unique. A project is unique, okay? It's temporary. It have a start time and a finish time. It does not matter what the finish time is. So far, it's got a start time and a finish time. A typical example is UK saying, you know what, they want to phase out all petrol or diesel engine car to electric car, to EV, to EV cars by 2035. Okay. But someone is saying 2035 is some 11 years from now. That is long. How can that be a project? So far, there is a start time and there's a finish time to it. Okay. That is a project. But if UK says, you know what, we want to phase out diesel or petrol engine cars starting from now, and they left it open-ended, well, that becomes an operation. That is not a project because we don't have a end time to that. They just only gave us a start time of when they want to do it. We don't know when this will finish. So that is not a project. Any terminology they put to it, they can call it whatever they want to call it. But you want to know, as a project management professional, you want to tell anybody that is not a project because it doesn't have a finish time. Okay, it is not temporary. So a project is temporary. A project is bringing about change. Remember, I said this is new, is unique. It's bringing about change. Whether it is change you know about, whether it is change you don't know about, it is bringing about change. A project will always bring about change, whether a change in tools, a change in laptop, a change in location, a change in career, just like yourself coming into this particular project management training. It's a change in career. You want to have a change in career. I could see people saying, you know what, yeah, I'm a banker. Yes, I am an accountant. I'm a D's, I've worked in public health, I'm a nutritionist, and all that. But you're coming into this now. That is a change. Okay. You've got a start and an end date for yourself to say, you know what, I want to pick up something in the next 8 months. I want to pick up something in the next 6 months. You've got that for yourself. So it's a change. And also uncertainty. When you started this, when you registered for this class, when you came for the introduction, when you even at the start of this particular training today, you had a lot of uncertainties. And I'm sure that some of those uncertainties, or maybe one or two to some extent, you've cleared that. You've gotten proper understanding on those things. So that is how a project works. When you start off a project, there are loads of uncertainties at the start of a project. A lot of things are unknown at the start of a project, but the more you start planning, the more you start drilling down into it, the better understanding you have on the work you're doing, the better understanding you have on the budget of the project, the better understanding you have about the risk. Uncertainty is another word for risk. Okay. At the start of a project, the risks are high. Okay, the risks are high. But the more you go into the project, the better understanding you have on those risks and the better management you have for those, and you start eliminating some of those risks as you proceed on the project. Another thing about a project is a project could be cross-functional. Okay. Project could be cross-functional. What do we mean when we say project could be cross-functional? When you get into an organization, it is not strictly conditioned for one particular department. You can have like, let's take an example. This particular training, it is not just project management that it is. You will be interfacing with the business analyst when you start your hands-on project. You will be interfacing with the testers, with the DevOps guys. You will be interfacing with the admin. You will be interfacing with Deji and Lady Part at some point or another. So you could see it's cross-functional, even on a project within an organization as well that you're doing. It is cross-functional because you're working with finance team, you're working with HR team, you're working with the sales team, you're working with the marketing team to develop a project or to deliver a project. So a project, most times, could be cross-functional. And as a project manager or as a project management person, you should be able to manage all of these scenarios together. Okay? Okay. Let's talk about Prince2 now. These are the 5 integrated elements of Prince2. Remember that for PMBOK, we said is the people, the process, and the business environment. Those are the 3 integrated elements of PMBOK before now. So for some of you that might get some materials, before now, it used to be 10 knowledge areas. Okay, it used to be 10 knowledge areas, but those 10 knowledge areas have been compressed into 3 integrated elements. Okay, so some of you that might research and get hold documents, that is me telling you about that now. But for Prince2 has got these 5 integrated elements, and these 5 integrated elements, you can see what is in between the 5. I mean, in between all of these 5. In between the 4, we've got 1, which is the people. That means what Prince2 is telling you is you must be people focused. You must be people focused. Your practices must be people focused. Your processes must be people focused. Your principles must be people focused. Even the project context on its own must be people focused. Okay, so we'll talk about practices, principles, and processes as we move along, and that is what we'll focus on next week. What are the features and benefits of Prince2? Okay, remember we've spoken about PMBOK and the PMI. So because we're in the UK, that's why I'm drilling down into this. What are the benefits of it? It is universal. Remember, universal in the sense that you can pick it up today and use it tomorrow, use it somewhere else, use it somewhere else as well. It's proven, it is flexible. So they said it is flexible, yeah, in some way, in a lot of ways, not in some way, in a lot of ways, it is flexible. Common language and concepts. It's got common language and concepts. The outcome, it is outcome focused. what exactly is the outcome? What are we doing? What is going to be the result? What exactly is the result? Increased organizational maturity. So the moment an organization starts implementing Prince2, you will see that they've moved away from the traditional way of doing things into a methodology. So it's not the business as usual anymore. They now have a streamlined way of doing things, which is a methodology, and we can now say that organization is matured. So that's what we call the increased organizational maturity. And matured organization will always want to implement Prince2, part of an integrated suite of methods. So you see, the benefit is part of integrated suite of methods. Suite of method in the sense that Prince2 is just one of it. Change management is there. And now we've got the agile part of things as well. So you can see that it is not just one, it is integrated into each other. And it's the moment you have the foundational knowledge. And that is why I was telling you, you know what, my advice to each and every one of us is if you believe that this is it for you, then start preparing to write your Prince2 foundation at the minimum. Okay, at the minimum, try and write your Prince2 foundation at the minimum. What are the benefits of Prince2 for an individual? On this particular, the benefit of Prince2 for you is that you will gain a global recognized certification. You will get a global certification, which can be used anywhere. Some organizations in Nigeria too are now asking for Prince2 as well. You know how to start, manage the steps, and close a project. You will know how to start. Definitely, those are the things I will be teaching you on this particular course: how to start, how to manage the steps, and how to close a project. You'll learn common project management terminologies. You will definitely learn all of those in here. You will learn those terminologies. And like I will be speaking, I'll be using buzzwords. You also will be using those buzzwords when you start reading the book I spoke about and you're presenting, you'll be using those words. Improve your career prospect. This training and Prince2 will definitely increase your career prospect, especially this particular training will increase your career prospect. I have tried to check the cost of Prince2 certifications exam alone. No, they've canceled that. So just to let you know, man, 3 years ago, they canceled people writing exams only because a lot of people were studying on their own, and a lot of people passed. A few people failed it, but Prince2, APMG, or people sat just to get more money. They've canceled people doing self-study. You have to buy a training. You have to buy e-learning training or physical training before you can write the exam, because they have what they call the ATPs, the authorized training providers. So you must do your training with an ATP, and then your ATP will be the one you buy your exams from. Then you can write your exam from there. They canceled that 3 years ago, thereabout. Okay, so know how to structure a project, improve your career prospect, improve your standing within an organization. For some of us that are within an organization, and for people that are within NHS, I would definitely encourage you to stick to these. And I think I'm not sure who said she wants to stay within the NHS because there is, I think it was Rumi that said she wants to stay within NHS and all that. Trust me, there are loads of project management roles within NHS, loads. And because you're there already, it becomes very, very easy for you to apply within NHS and get a good job in there. Clearly understand your role as a project manager or a project management professional. Okay, so that is that about project, about what is a project and about the benefit of Prince2 and also the benefit of this training to yourself. Then let's talk about what exactly is project management. Okay, project management is the application of methods, tools, techniques, and competencies. Okay, look at that. The application of the methods you'll be getting, all the methodologies we've been talking about, the Prince2 methodology, the PMI framework, and also APMP. There are other ones that are called APMP. There's one that is called the BCS. There's the Google Project Management and all that. And also, I would advise, if you have time, register for the free Google Project Management course. It's free. It's very, very comprehensive as well. Register for that, and that will help you to get your terminologies right. as well. And when I'm speaking in class, you have a proper understanding, even though my training always come down to the BRS minimum. Like I'm teaching people that are just coming into project management for the first time, and that's why you could see me talking very slowly. If I'm taking a PMP class, this is not the way I teach PMP class, or I'm teaching Prince 2 class. This is not the way I teach those classes. Okay, like I'm teaching this class now, you can see me talking gently. I'm not really that nice. Let me put it that way. So it's the application of methods, tools, techniques, and competencies. Okay. And when you put all of these together, yes, Google Project Management course, yes, it's very, very comprehensive. I like it. You have controlling, you have planning, you have delegating, you have monitoring and motivating. So as a project manager, you will be controlling, you will be planning, not controlling people, controlling the processes. Okay. You will be motivating people, you will be delegating the task, you will be monitoring what people are doing, and also you will be working, you will be planning the project with your team members. And this is what is called project management. Okay. This is the core that we call project management, the application of methods, tools, techniques, and competencies to make sure that you are controlling the processes very well. You're motivating the people, you're delegating tasks as they should be, you're monitoring, and also you're planning how the project will be delivered. Okay, what are the aspects of project performance? The aspect of project performance is, for Prince 2 focuses on 7 key performances that we need to, and that's what is called the key performance index, that we want to make sure that we are that our project is actually going as planned. Okay. First thing, we want to talk about the cost. We want to make sure that we have a key performance indicators when it comes to the cost. How are we doing with our costing? Are we under budget? Are we spending over the budget? And all that. We need to make sure that we have that in place as a project performance measuring indicators. The time as well. How are we doing with time? Are we delivering as planned? All the key milestones or the deliverable we said we will deliver, are we delivering them on time? What exactly is the quality of the work we are delivering? What exactly is the quality? Sustainability. How sustainable is the work we are doing? And everywhere you turn to now is all about sustainability, ESG, sustainability, governance, and what is the E now? Forgotten the E, environment. Is all about SDG goals, the UN SDG goals. How sustainable is that project? Is it reducing the atmospheric oxygen or whatever? I know that you want to make sure that it is sustainable to do, and also the scope. You're working on the scope. You want to make sure that is the scope. Are we scope creeping? Are we gold plating? Or we are delivering according to what we said we'll deliver? Then also, are we managing the risk properly? And also, are we delivering the benefits that we said the project will deliver? Okay. Any question from anybody? Any question from anybody tonight? Okay. All right. I've got 4 slides. So I'll do the 4 slides tonight. Okay, project contest. Project contest. When we talk about the project contest, remember we said the project contest, the people, the principles, the practices, and that. So when I talk about, in the project context, there is the organizational context, the organization in which you're delivering the project for, the organization in which the project is being delivered. There is a commercial context. Okay, commercial context is in the sense that we are selling or we are doing it for outsider. That's the project we're delivering that. Then what exactly is the delivery method? Then what is the scale of the project? Don't forget, I said there are projects that are tiny, there are projects that are big. What is the scale of a project? So you have to have all of this within your mind in order for you to know how to manage the people, what are the principles, what are the practices, and what are the processes to use. You can't use a process. You can't use the same process to deliver an app project and use the same word for word process to deliver a 17-kilometer coastal road or 700-kilometer coastal road. Okay, you can't use that. You have to streamline it. You have to know the scale, and that's why you can see it's coming from small to bigger or bigger to small. So you have to know that. And also, I've spoken about sustainability already. You have to understand what exactly is the context of us delivering this. All right. In Prince2 or in project management terms, we have what we call the users, the suppliers, and the business. Okay. The user is a user who will specify the desired output. The user is the person that is saying, oh, this is what I want. For some of you that said you were once a B or you're a B and all of that, then that's where you have your user story. The user, you're taking the place of the user, and the user is a person that is saying that this is what I want. This is what I want on this particular project. Then we have the supplier. The supplier is who will provide the resources and expertise to deliver the product. Who is delivering that? Who is giving us it? Don't forget that you can have all of these within an organization. The organization in which you are delivering the project could be all of these as well. Okay. So it's not limited to say, you know what, supplier must come from outside as the word is supplier. No, could be within the organization as well. That's the person that is giving you, that's your sponsor that is giving you the resources, the expertise to deliver the product. Then you now have the business itself. The business is the business in which you're doing the project, who is giving you the project mandate to say, yes, Faith, we want you to deliver this project. This is the mandate for us to deliver this project. And what are the delivery method? Delivery method at the moment, don't forget, we've got the linear sequential approach, which is what we call the waterfall approach. The waterfall approach, we'll be talking about all of this in detail. Then we now have what we call the iterative or incremental approach. The iterative or incremental approach is what we call the agile approach, okay? The agile approach, the agile delivery method, or the agile delivery approach is what we call the incremental. And while the project management, quote and unquote, is what we call the linear sequential approach, which is waterfall, okay? So we've got the waterfall approach, and we've got the agile delivery approach, which will be combining both together as we proceed on this particular project. And in recent times, like I said, we'll be combining. So the combination of both the linear and the agile is what we call the hybrid approach. In some organizations, they call it WAGILE, which is waterfall and agile. They call it the WAGILE approach. And for the project management, yes, 600 euros for the exam. Yeah. So for the project management certification, like I said, we've got the CAPM and PMP. We've got Prince2 Foundation and Practitioner. We've got the BACS, Project Management Foundation. Then we have the APMP. Some organizations in the UK do use APMP as well. A lot of organizations do use APMP. Like Aviva use APMP, CHEPS, they use APMP, HSBC, they use APMP, and all that. APMP is an hybrid of PMP and Prince2, actually. It's an hybrid of that. But it's few organizations, but like I said, restrict yourself to Prince2 Foundation. If you can go bigger, go on Practitioner as well. Okay. So topics to cover. The topics we will cover in this as we proceed from next week. We'll cover what is a project. We've spoken about that. Constraint of a project, we'll go more into that. We use Prince2. Successful and failed project, we use Prince2. Project management, we use project management lifecycle using the SDLC lifecycle as well. Then we drill down into stakeholders management. How do you develop a stakeholders log as a project management person, as a PMO or a project manager? How do you develop a stakeholders log? How do you manage your stakeholders? How do you identify your stakeholders? How do you analyze a stakeholder? We will definitely be doing all of that on this particular call. Process mapping, we'll be mapping processes. We'll be using Visio. We'll be using MS Visio, Microsoft Visio to map processes because as a project manager, or as a PMO person, you will be expected to establish governances. And when you establish the governance, you want to explain the process to people. And one of the ways to explain the process to people is by using VCO, your swim lane, to explain those processes, to design how the flow of things will be on this particular project you're presenting to people. It brings professionalism to your work. Then we'll talk about cardiac. We'll talk about the constraint assumptions, risk, dependencies, decisions, issues, and all that. And we'll talk about change control processes. How do you establish a change control processes? How do you write the terms of reference for a change control process? How do you run a change control board? We will be talking about that as well using a project example. Project reporting, we will be developing project reports, and like I said, your presentation every week, reading that book, summarizing it is part of me enabling, or part of me encouraging, or part of me developing your project reporting skills as a project management person. Project resource management, we'll be using MS Project to work on that. When we do our MS Project, we'll populate it with resources. We'll develop a resource usage or utilization out of that as well. Lessons learned management, we will develop a lessons learned management log. We'll document lessons learned. We'll see how we'll manage that. Planning and scheduling, we'll use MS Project for these. We'll take a day or 2 days to actually drill that into it using MS Project. How do you populate your task? How do you link your task? How do you manage your MS Project? How do you manage task in MS Project and all that as a tool? So we'll be talking about that. Document controlling, if I have the opportunity, we will definitely talk about document controlling. I will just talk briefly about document controlling, but if I'm able to get every one of us on Confluence, or I'm able to get everybody to share, if I'm able to get an offline copy of SharePoint, I will use SharePoint to explain document controlling for us on that. What are the tools we'll be using? We'll be using PowerPoint, Excel, SharePoint. Like I said, if I'm able to get the offline copy, the standalone copy for SharePoint, MS Project, VCO, Outlook, Teams. I'll get Olawumi to come and take us Jira, or I think outside of this class, there is a Jira class. So when you see that Jira, be on the lookout for that Jira class. We are on the Telegram portal. I think Olawumi or Tolu Yesufu will be taking Jira. So please don't miss that out when they teach you that. Smartsheet, I used to work for an organization that we use Smartsheet, but unfortunately I've left the organization, but I will see if I can get a so I was using that particular organization Smartsheet to do the training for people before. I'll see if I can get a standalone Smartsheet, because most organizations are using Smartsheets now as well. So if I'm able to get a standalone, that I will definitely take the class on that. Okay, my last minute, let me talk about these. These are the roles, and I shared this slide before now. These are the roles you can start applying for the moment we finish this particular training. Okay, when we finish this particular training, you can start applying for project analyst, project support analyst, project management office, PMO support, PM administrator, PMO coordinator, PMO analyst, PMO planner, assistant or junior project manager, or a project manager. The first 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first 7 are just the same thing. It's just a use of nomenclature from different organizations that use different nomenclature or naming for their own role. They are all talking about the same thing, basically. Okay, we'll talk about what exactly do you need to know when you get on the job. If you get on the job today as a project analyst, what do you need to know? That is exactly what we'll be doing on this particular call. Bang on time Q&A. Any question for this particular training today? You can stop recording now. Miracle, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.